Hello and welcome to Dreams of Wings, and welcome here to Duxford. Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to answer the question, why fly warbirds in a non-shooty sim? Believe it or not, it is a question I have been asked, and I've seen comments before. I've had comments on videos before, and hopefully we can cover that off today. And maybe if you've never considered flying warbirds in a sim, it might give you a bit of food for thought. It's certainly one of the things that I love doing. And we're going to be flying this Spitfire. This is the FlyingIron Mark 9 Spitfire in a repaint by Bomber 12th of the Spitfires.com SM520, as she was before her most recent repaint. This is a Spitfire that means a lot to me. I flew in her in real life a few years ago, and she's a wonderful aeroplane. And here we are having a chance to fly the repaint in the flight simulator. We've got a whole load of choices in flight sims of different aircraft that we can fly, and a lot of people fly airliners and that sort of thing, for example. But I think sometimes warbirds tends to get forgotten because people tend to think of them in terms of you can only fly them in DCS and IL2 and that sort of thing. But we're going to look at that today anyway. Anyway, enough waffling, let's get flying. So here we are on this beautiful crisp morning in a lovely warbird. You can almost smell the oil and fuel and all that good stuff. Yeah, it is. It's a great place to be. I love the steam gauges in these old warbirds. It's nice not to have a glass cockpit. You do have the option with the FlyingIron warbirds that you can swap out your gun sight for a GPS if you want that, and that's not totally unrealistic. A lot of modern warbirds, that restoration warbirds, will have a GPS in them, so it's great that you can simulate the modern restoration warbird, which is kind of what I'm talking about when I talk about flying warbirds in the simulator. Anyway, let's get this Spit started and we can get flying and continue chatting. So let's have a quick look around. That's good. Parking brake is on. Let's have mixture fully forward and rich. Let's have prop fully forward and fine. There we go. We'll just crack the throttle, but I moved it forward just a little bit to actuate the switch there because it gives us some power. Quick look down here. That's all good, and that's fine. Let's have some fuel on, and let's pump up the jams. Need to get that fuel pressure warning light out, so we're just using this toggle pump. There we go, and I'll give a couple more just for good luck. Okay, now we'll prime. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We'll give her 8 and see how she goes. Let's have mags on. Quick look at everything else. Have I forgotten anything that could be rather embarrassing? I don't think so. Everything seems to be looking nice. Okay, let's go for a start. Excellent. She started very nicely. Happy with that. Okay, so let's quickly look at our instruments. Oil pressure is good, and our temperatures look like they are rising. They are. One of the things you have to be careful of with warbirds is, of course, that temperatures rise, especially in the Spit. Temperatures rise quite quickly. These are essentially huge engines designed to hurl the aircraft into the sky and go into combat, and they don't really like sitting on the ground. They like flying. So you have to be very careful that you don't overheat them. So let's have a quick look at our temps. Yeah, temperatures are good enough now that we can actually start taxiing out. So I'm going to, let's just, there we go. We will release the parking brake. Just check our brakes. Brakes are working. Not going to do a run up. We are literally just here to get in the air and have a quick chat. It's lovely to be back in the Spit. It really is. This should be interesting for you because I've not been in it in a few weeks, and because I've been doing an awful lot of helicopter flying recently, and also getting 2024 set up. And the 2024 version of the Spit isn't quite ready yet. Really looking forward to that, because they're adding some new bits and bobs into it, so just instinctively checking that there wasn't anything coming in there, but I've got multiplayer and AI off. This Duxford is always busy in 2020. Doesn't seem to be so busy in 2024, because I don't think, because the Warbirds aren't there, people aren't necessarily using it yet, but it's a wonderful place to be when there's a lot of Warbirds flying around. Just as I'm taxiing out here, I'm putting some nose down trim in. It's one of the interesting things about Warbirds is that there's people with varying degrees of knowledge and experience and all that kind of stuff, and you'll always find things that people do slightly differently. For example, the FlyingIron manual says nose down trim for takeoff. The Battle of Britain Memorial Flight have nose up trim for takeoff. Probably a good safety reason for that, but it's one of those things. There's always different things going on. Anyway, I am just recentering my head tracking, and I need to concentrate while we take off, so bear with me. Go. Let's just do that quickly and come back on the RPM. And we are airborne, which is beautiful. Just come back on the RPM a little bit more. So why fly Warbirds? That's what you hear. That's what you want to have a look at. Well, I think the thing about Warbirds is it's a different skill set. It's very different to flying, for example, tricycle undercarriage GA aircraft. It's definitely different to flying airliners and doing the whole IFR, IMC, air traffic control, all that sort of thing. There is a wonderful element of freedom to flying Warbirds. It really is a chance to, and I'm trying not to be cheesy here, but it's a chance to kind of dance in the sky. You can do aerobatics, you can throw them around quite a bit, but also, and this is the what I was talking about before, is that there is this skill in it. You can't just chuck them around. These kind of third-party aircraft where they have damage simulation and that sort of thing, you have to be very respectful of them, and that's what I'm just checking. There we go, and let's have the pitot heat on as well. Should have done that. Really, it's one of the things that you have to be very careful of. And the great thing about a flight like this for me is that because there are so many things you do have to think of, it's a case of checking around, and like I did there, forgot to switch the I pumped up the fuel pressure there, but when you are, especially when you're landing, you need to make sure that the fuel pump is on, because the engine isn't driving so much pressure. So I'm glad I remembered that. Quick look down at T's and P's, everything's good there. We got a little bit hot on takeoff, but that's coming down. And if we wanted to, we've also got a manual radiator flap there that we can open, but I'm going to leave that. And there is Duxford in all her glory down there. So yes, Warbirds, it's another skill set, it's another thing to learn, another thing to get into. Apart from the fact they just look beautiful, it does give you an opportunity to broaden your horizons. Similar sort of thing with helicopters as well, but I'll probably make another video about those. And it's a good chance to learn taildragger skills as well. If you're looking at doing this for the first time, I would highly recommend, and none of these guys, I'm not sponsored or anything by any of these guys, by the way. I've bought their products, but Ants Aeroplanes Tiger Moth is a good place to start. It's how the original World War II pilots would have learned. Learn your taildragger skills in that, get proficient in that, and then you can progress on. Now if you're in P3D or even FSX, you have the luxury of also being able to then progress onto the A2A Simulations T6 Texan, which again in real life is what the real pilots would have gone on to, and that teaches your kind of advanced single engine fighter skills. A few more things to think of with retracting undercarriage and a big radial engine, all that sort of thing. But it's a great place to progress to from the Tiger Moth, and then once you've done that, you can then progress on to the Spit and the Mustang and all that kind of stuff. In Microsoft Flight Sim 2020, 2024, unfortunately we don't have the A2A T6. There is an Asobo T6, which you could possibly get into. I've hardly flown it. I must admit I wasn't massively impressed with it after the A2A T6, but I do appreciate that Asobo weren't necessarily trying to create something as realistic as the A2A T6, so we can't really hold that against them. But my God, I wish there was a good T6 in 2020 or 2024. So yeah, you can try that, or you can just jump straight to the Warbirds, the FlyingIron Warbirds. Again, they don't sponsor me, or they don't, they've not given me anything to try. I've bought them all, so this is purely, from the heart. But they are the best Warbirds in my book in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 or 2024. So yeah, lots of things to think of when you're flying these things: your engine management, temperatures, all that kind of stuff, your pressures. It always keeps you on your toes, which is great. You're never going to get bored with them. I think sometimes people just think that flying these things is all about shooting things down, and you can have a blast in the military sims. And I've had great fun flying multiplayer in IL2 and that sort of thing. But I love flying as if it's a restoration warbird, and that's really the point, I think, for me, of flying these things in Microsoft Flight Simulator, is flying it like the guys that do the air shows and that sort of thing, the modern kind of warbird circuit, which is alive and well, and that's a good reason why you'll see that my pilot looks a little bit different to what you might expect. So as you can see, he's wearing a modern bone dome. I have had people say before, "Oh, I think you'll find that your pilot is a little bit incorrect for the type of aircraft that you're flying." And I kind of have to point out that no, not really. If you look at a lot of modern day warbird pilots, they're wearing bone domes, and Spitfires.com wear white bone domes. And that's why I have a white bone dome in the sim. I'm not trying to be a World War II pilot. This is a modern simulator in a modern world, and that's why I'm flying the Spit in the garb that I am. It's all part of it, really. The other great thing also about Warbirds, and I have to say huge thank you to Authenticate. They make a range of... I say they make, okay, let me rewind that. They don't make. It's a community of people who have designed replica controls for Warbirds that you can use a 3D printer to create the parts, and then you just have to buy the electronics and the bits and pieces. There's a company called Simulation Kit Supplies that caters for that sort of thing very well. And you can also buy complete kits as well. If you don't have a 3D printer, there's a way that you can do that yourself, or rather obtain the parts yourself, so that you don't have to print them yourself. and I've done a couple of videos on those. I'll put a link to that down below, and shortly coming to the channel rather, there is going to be a video about a new piece of equipment that those very nice people at Authenticate and Simulation Kit Supplies have sent me, and I'll be doing a video on that and adding that into my cockpit. So there is a huge world around Warbirds, including even those actual controller parts that you can use. I should also at this point mention that we have a new Discord for the channel. I'll put a link to that back down below. It's a very simple one. I used to have quite a complicated one that became a general flight sim Discord, and I now just have a very simple one that is just there to support the channel. But there's a chat channel in there as well, so come along and have a chat, and if you've got any questions, there's plenty of people there, including myself, that know a bit about flying Warbirds in the sim, and we're always there to help. And at some point also do the odd group flight as well, which leads me on to another reason to fly Warbirds in the sim. It is great fun flying multiplayer with other people. There is nothing quite like flying formation with a mate in a Warbird on a trip, cross country, whatever, doing aerobatics. It is great fun. Something very special about it. If you're a Warbird fan anyway, you kind of get it, you kind of understand that anyway. Flying with a Spitfire on your wing is something quite impressive. But if you've never done it before, trust me, it is a huge amount of fun, and well worth having a go of. So hopefully that has really kind of explained why we do it. There's a lot more to Warbirds than just the shooty aspect of it. It's just the sheer pleasure of flying them. These agile, powerful machines that can do a heck of a lot, but also can bite you if you don't concentrate on what you're doing. And yeah, I can just highly recommend them to you. Don't just think of them in terms of being something you have to fly in combat sims. They are well worth it. Apologies for that, wasn't showing off. I was just trying to see if I could still do it after getting rusty. Right, so the having done that, what I need to do now is land. So let us come back round, and then we'll do a break, and then we'll do a land, and hopefully that landing won't be too painful. But if it is painful, at least it goes to show you this ain't easy. And again, it's one of the reasons to fly Warbirds. Give yourself a challenge, do something a little bit different. So, I love Duxford. If you've been to Duxford in real life, you will know that Mick's Duxford here is just incredibly realistic. Going around it in the drone is almost like actually being here in real life. It really is quite incredible. Right. Those funny noises you just heard was because I came back too far on the throttle. So we just lose some speed now. You can see we've already lost quite a bit, which is good. Right, okay, let's have prop fully forward. Watching the power, watching the speed, let's drop the gear and do a curved approach. Sometimes cut these a little bit too fine. Gears down, green there, that's good. Watch the power, and let's come around now. curved approach is another one of the reasons to fly Warbirds, because it's not the easiest, especially if you're a little bit rusty, and I can already feel that this is going wrong. The reason we're doing this curved approach is because we've got a huge great nose in front of us, and we can't necessarily see a great deal. You can't necessarily do that conventional approach, so just coming back on the power, keeping the curve in so I can see where it is. We're a little bit fast. Going to drop the flap now. Flaps in the Spit are like dirty great big speed brakes. We've lost sight of the runway now, as you can see. And we are down. Concentrating now, stick back and gently braking. Again, these are nose heavy. If you brake too hard, you'll tip them over, and there's nothing more embarrassing than jumping out of a Spit with a nose stuck in the ground and a bent prop. No one will thank you for it. Okay, let's just pop that. There we go. So we are down, and that wasn't too painful. The experts amongst us will no doubt be thinking, but you didn't open your canopy. And I didn't, and that's one of those little things I forgot. You must remember to open your canopy in the Spit, just in case anything goes wrong, you can jump out of it. Maybe I was being a little bit too optimistic by not opening it, but there you go. So I hope you found that useful. I wanted to try and keep it as short as possible. But just to give you an idea, if you're considering Warbirds, or if you've never considered it and you wanted to know a little bit more about it, then I hope it's been of use. As I say, pop along to the Discord, say hello if you're interested in getting into them, or just join the community. It'd be great to see you there. Duxford, wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Anyway, great to have you along. Thanks for joining the flights, and I look forward to seeing you on the channel again soon. Take care now. Bye bye.